I've been going over this lesson, and I realized slowing it down is probably good for the team, as no one can remember all these little tips and stuff I've given you guys recently. So we're going to go over a little bit today, Heather, on objection handling that we talked about with the buyer stuff, and then I'll give you a handful of objection handlers on how you can educate a potential homeowner to list with you now versus waiting till maybe next spring. That all are very valid and could help you procure some listings in today's market on there. Let's start with Crystal, actually, for today. We'll see. How you feeling, Crystal?
Hi, good morning or good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Do you remember the 4 steps to handling an objection?
I don't. I'm sorry.
Those are, I just learned. This is honestly, right? It's you and like 2,000 other agents I coach. So it's just a retention thing. I was like, no, we're going to go over it today because there's no sense in keep teaching you new things. But Rochelle, let me just preface that with something I've realized. I legitimately thought I used to always call these coaching calls or training calls. They're not. Rochelle, these are what I call now information calls. Why? Because the training, the learning really takes place after you apply the information I give you today. If they never apply it, they've learned nothing. You'll find out within a few weeks, they'll totally have forgotten everything we talked about. So guys, please, the information is solid. Matter of fact, last call, this happens with me all the time. Hey coach, I used that thing you told me last call and guess what? It really worked. And they bought the house or they listed with me. This stuff really works. I don't make it up, Rochelle, right? I've just read a lot of books or I follow the patterns of my other teams and something's working. I share it with you guys. So just practice it a little bit, retain it. All right, Crystal, back to you. So we got to educate our fine family here on how to handle an objection. So if a seller wants to list with them and wait, they got a way to maybe come at it in a different way. So number 1, Crystal, I throw an objection at you. Hey, Crystal, we're going to wait till maybe next spring to put the house on the market. Do you remember step 1 at all?
No, I'm sorry. This is my real first one that I've been on.
Oh, really? First one. All right. So I'm going to go through it with you then, right? So you can.
I'm going to write down the notes.
You're going to write it and go slow. So number 1, Crystal, is we're going to acknowledge the objection. Real simple. Acknowledge. And what that means, Crystal, is you're going to use something. If I say reflective listening, Crystal, do you know how to do that?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yes, right. You're just going to repeat back. I said, I'm going to wait till next spring to list my home. You're going to say, oh, if I'm hearing you correctly, Mike, it sounds like you want to wait maybe until the springtime to get this house on the market. Crystal, you know what a tie down is?
No.
Okay. I finished that sentence. Don't worry about the reasoning behind it with the word correct. So Crystal, you want to wait till next spring to put your house on the market, correct?
Does she think exactly she has packing?
Okay, I put that on mute. So Crystal, you want to wait to put your house on the market until next spring, if I'm hearing you, correct?
Correct.
What's the only way you can answer that question? Yes. So what I'm doing, Crystal, is getting you to say yes to me very easily. And I'll do that like 10 or 20 times during these steps, because at the end, I know I'm going to ask you to list your house with me. And if I have you saying yes to me many times, Crystal, easily, getting the last yes is easy. If you never say yes to me here during this whole conversation, and I try to get one big fat yes at the end, that's very difficult, I will tell you. Yeah. So I'll ask you some very obvious, easy questions, just so you say, yes, Mike, yes, Mike, yes, Mike. And it gets me easier to close. So first we acknowledge the objection with a tie down, got you to say yes to me. Second part of step 1 is acknowledge, and then I'm going to agree with your objection next, Crystal. I'm actually going to agree with it. And it'll sound like this. Hey, Crystal, as a matter of fact, a number of the other homeowners that we've been speaking to in the office this week, they also are thinking about waiting until maybe early next year to get their home on the market as well. Why do you think I do that, Crystal? In about 5 minutes, Crystal, I'm easily going to convince you to list your house with me this week. Why do you think here in step 1, I'm agreeing with your objection?
To get me to say yes.
Well, not even yes, but just get you feel comfortable with me.
Yes.
I want your walls to come down. I want to have a conversation. I want you to listen to about what I'm about to tell you. If I come out of the gate disagreeing with you, I created an adversarial situation. You're saying you don't want to list. I'm telling you you should, and we're doing this. Fighting is not going to make me win. And then you probably don't know this stat, Crystal, but 69% of your clients are amiables in nature. You know what that means? They will avoid conflict at all costs. So 3/4 of your clients you're fighting with are just going to shut down on you and you lose. So all I'm doing is making it feel very warm and fuzzy and safe. I'm making you feel inclusive. When I say some other homeowners are also thinking about waiting, you don't think you're doing anything wrong. So I can easily get to step 2 now. Super easy with that. That's all that does. Okay. It's a setup.
Okay.
All right. Step 2, Crystal. The first part of step 2 is we need to clarify. Clarify. Anybody help out Crystal? What's the W word for what clarify means? Anybody remember? When we clarify, what are we really doing? We're figuring out something about the objection. Anybody remember? Why is the answer?
Let's say why.
Yeah, you got it, Crystal. So Crystal, you told me you wanted to wait, right, till next spring, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
I got to drill down and find the root of your objection. If I know the root of your objection, it's very easy to overcome. If I don't know exactly why you're waiting, it's really hard to overcome. So very simply, I'm going to ask you why. So why are you thinking about waiting, Crystal? No judgments, but you need to know why. Okay, Crystal, part 2 of step 2 is after we acknowledge, after we clarify, we're going to isolate. And put a star next to that word, isolate, Crystal. You want to take a guess on that one, Crystal? What do you think that means?
Well, I know what isolate means, but I don't
In
know.
this context, I'll give you the script.
Okay.
Here's the script. Crystal, besides that reason you just told me why you were waiting, is there anything else that's preventing you from getting this house on the market sooner? So what we're looking for, Crystal, is for you to say, no, Mike, that's the only reason.
Okay.
Or, you know what, Mike, there's another reason also why we can't list a house yet. Maybe we still have some projects to finish on the house. Who knows, right? Whatever the case may be. We're going to be traveling for the month of December. We won't even be here, right? Whatever. 2 things are happening here, Crystal. Number 1, I'm going to flush out all of your objections up front so I know kind of how to best handle them. Number 2, why I had you put a star next to it. I need you to tell me that this is the only objection or these are the only objections, because if I don't get you to verbalize this right here, right now, Crystal, I'm going to overcome your objection in step 3. I'm going to ask you for an appointment in step 4. If I didn't isolate in step 2, Rochelle, what are you going to do to me? If I didn't get you to say, Mike, that's the only objection, what do you think you'll do to me, Rochelle? If I get to the bottom and ask you to sign a listing contract with me or to do business with me if I don't isolate? Any idea?
You're going to come up with another objection.
Ah, yes. Thank you, Rochelle. So Crystal, if you don't isolate, they can get a little nervous about signing this listing contract with you at the end. And they're going to weasel out of it very simply, like Rochelle told us, by, oh, by the way, this is another problem we have. And now you got to start all over. If you get them to say this in step 2, Crystal, guess what? They got no more cards, right? They can't surprise you because they told you 2 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, that was the only reason. Very important step. Don't skip that one. All right, we're on to step 3, Crystal. You're doing well. Step 3 is to overcome the objection. Very simply, we're going to overcome it. How do you think we overcome an objection, Crystal? What do you think what kind of information do we disseminate? Data, facts, figures. That's it. Real simple. Some information that you know to be true. Crystal, do you think we tell the consumer we are the experts of the information, or do you think we quote the experts of the information?
We quote.
Yes. Let me tell you why. What did the experts say, Crystal? Interest rates are going to start going up and they should go up steadily throughout the next year?
Yes.
They did say that. And that's what's supposed to happen. Have they been wrong before? Let me tell you about interest rates going up. They've been wrong about 1 million times over the last 10 years. But they kept on saying, Ryan, right? They're going up, and they didn't go up. So Crystal, we always say the expert said this, the expert said that, because the experts. Matter of fact, did you guys hear Zillow changed their guidance last week about home appreciation? Anyone hear this? Ryan did? Yeah. So they were in single digits for most of the year, I would tell you. They jumped up to about 15%. They think the appreciation is going to be next year, right? All year long, they touted 3%, 5%, 8%. I heard all these experts, right? Fannie, Freddie, Zillow, NAR, right? And all of a sudden now Goldman Sachs, Ryan, and Zillow are both in this teen range of appreciation. They're changing their expert opinion, Crystal, quite frequently. So if they don't know what's going to really happen, there's no way that you can possibly know. They got a lot of resources there. So we always say the expert said this and that. This way, if it doesn't happen, you still have a good reputation, Crystal, of knowing your stuff. So we use facts and data. Write down these 2 questions. This is how you start step 3 every time. Ready for the tough first question, Crystal?
Yes.
Crystal, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
That's it. That's how I start step 3 every time. I get another very easy yes answer from Crystal. I got a whole bunch already. Second question. This is called a setup or a framing question. If anybody has ever done any fishing here on the call, this is when I take the big hook and I get it stuck right in Crystal's mouth. Because if she answers this question the way I know she will, I know there's no way she can get out of handling my objections. Crystal, when you and the family eventually bring this house to market, whether it's now or maybe in the springtime, is your goal to get the highest possible sales price and put as much of that equity in your pocketbook as possible?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we got her, guys. Easy peasy. And they always answer yes to that question, right? And I always make light of it, Crystal. Say, hey, Crystal, you know, every seller I've spoken to and worked with in the last 18 years has told me the same thing, right? I want to make light of that statement, but that statement is super important. Because now all I got to do is give you, say again, Crystal?
Can you repeat that one more time? So I
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Crystal, when you eventually do bring your house to the market, whether it's now or maybe early next year, is your goal to sell your house for the highest possible price and put as much of your equity in your pocketbook as possible? And by the way, for everyone else too, these calls are recorded. So if you ever wanted a recording, you can go over these and listen to them again as well.
Oh, thank you.
Got that, Crystal?
Yeah.
So now all I need to do is give Crystal a few data points that might show her how she could sell her house for more money now than she might be able to do it next year. Easy peasy. You think, Crystal, I tell you, or you think I ask you some questions that will cause you to self-discover the answer?
Ask me some questions.
Yes, this is a big difference between great salespeople and the ones that struggle. The ones that struggle are very directive. You ought to do this, and I'm telling you, I'm the expert. You should listen to me. Very little buy-in. The more you try to push them to list in that scenario, the more you're pushing your seller away. So I act very matter of fact, Crystal, like I don't really care when you list your house, because I don't. I'm going to be in business for 10 or 15 years. And whether you choose now, next month, or next year, I'm going to be here to help you. So I just want to give you some information that may cause you to list your home a little bit earlier than you told me at the beginning of our conversation. So you understand the premise, Crystal?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Crystal. So let's talk about some reasons why you might want to put your house on the market now. Crystal, are you knowledgeable of supply and demand?
Yes.
When demand, well, let's just say supply. If supply is low for a product, how does that affect its ultimate sales price for any product or service when there is a low supply?
The price is usually higher.
Prices always go up when there is less product or service, right? And demand is strong.
Yeah.
Excellent, Crystal. Crystal, can I ask you another question?
Yes.
Historically, back at the office, Christina has been tracking for us the inventory levels. And in reading the report, when do you think every year we have the least number of homes available for sale in our inventory?
Around this time of year, like the holidays.
Yes, we always have the lowest number of homes for sale around the holidays into the early following year. Crystal, when do you feel we have the most number of homes on the market?
Like spring or summer.
Yes, as we get through the holidays and we get into the next year, Christina shared with us, we always have the most number of homes for sale available. The inventory levels are their highest, almost always in the spring and summer markets, meaning that you would have a lot more competition. Now, you told me, Crystal, that you understood supply and demand and that your house you thought would sell for more money if you had less of your neighbors to compete against, correct?
Correct.
And you also told me, based on what Christina's data told us, that now you know that we always have the most number of homes to compete against in the spring and summer market, correct?
Correct.
So, Crystal, I'm a little confused. Knowing your goal is to sell your house for top dollar and keep all that equity, and you know that we have the least amount of competitors now and the most in the spring, when do you feel is going to be the most reasonable time to get this house on the market and truly accomplish your goal?
No.
Yeah. You know what? When I kind of frame it that way for sellers and I educate them properly, Crystal, they get it. And they almost always will bring their house to the market sooner on there.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's just one. There's a whole bunch more. So
Good.
let's talk about buyers, Crystal. Crystal, when you sell your home, you think you'd get a better outcome if you worked with buyers that were more motivated or less motivated to purchase a home?
I'm more motivated.
More, right? That would help us a lot. So, Crystal, when do you feel, after we've done all the research and the type of buyers we get to work with, when do you feel we have some of the most motivated buyers?
Like, are you asking like what time of the year or?
Yeah. What time of the year?
It would be around like springtime or summer.
You would think so, right? Because of all the buyers and you see all the signs.
Mhm.
Can I share something with you?
Yes.
It's actually just the opposite. Is Crystal coming now into the fourth quarter, the end of the year? Is it Thanksgiving this week, Crystal?
Yes.
Is Hanukkah and New Year's and Christmas right around the corner?
Yep.
Are the temperatures a little cooler?
Yes.
Is it the most desirable time to go out looking at houses just for the heck of it?
No.
No, it's very inconvenient. People are busy shopping, traveling, right? All the stuff, decorating their homes, maybe. So, Crystal, here's what we learned. Here's a huge advantage about coming to the market now. You have the least number of neighbors to compete against, giving us a lot of leverage. Number two is the only buyers that are coming are the most motivated buyers we ever see throughout the year. They come in three particular groups, actually, Crystal. Did you know that?
No.
Number one is corporate relocation. As we're doing business planning with our team here, Crystal, right now, would it shock you to know that every major US corporation is doing the same thing? And when they're building their plans, you know what they sometimes realize? Oh my gosh, we need a new office over there in California. We need to get someone to run it. Or, hey, we've got a problem at this office over here. We need someone to fix it. And what do, Crystal, is they move most of their employees around right now so they can fulfill their business goals for next year with the right people in the right places on there. Do you know how many days the average relocation client has, Crystal, to start their job? Like once you lived in, I don't know, Massachusetts and they said, Crystal, we got this great job. You said you didn't want it. They made you an offer you couldn't refuse. So you finally take it. That's what usually happens, I will tell you. I worked in this space for 15 years, so I know it well. Crystal, how many days do you think you have until you have to start this job here in California?
By January.
Yeah. How about 10 days from now? So you officially have to start on probably the 1st or 2nd of December, right around the corner. Guess what? Your family, kids, dog, whomever, is either 3,000 miles away there or they're living in a hotel over here. Your family doesn't like either option, I will tell you. They want you to find a house fast as humanly possible so they can move in and live like the way they used to live. Also, what I recognized, I was very surprised about this, but maybe not so much because you guys haven't done corporate relocation. Does anyone on this call know what a stop loss guarantee is? No. How do
If they lose any money on the sale of the house when they have to leave, then their company pays them the difference.
Lisa, I want to give you a big hug because I've asked, no joke, about 2,000 agents over the course of the last week or two, and you are the only one. So yeah, so Crystal, now not Lisa, not the people in the mail room, right? Not the, but the people in middle management and above, almost all of them have a clause in there, little paragraph, Crystal, that says, when you go to sell this house, we want to thank you for moving here to California. But if we need to sell it to move to another area to fix another problem and move back to Massachusetts, if the market settles down a little bit, say in 2024, 2025, and you need to sell this house and you paid $1 million for it in California, now it's only worth 950 or 900. Guess what? They will pay you the difference so you don't lose any money. So the point of this all, Crystal, you think they're worried all that much about how much they spend on a house if they overpay a little bit? Heck, no. But we only get these buyers, most of them around this time of the year, Crystal, because once they settle in and they're working, there's not as much corporate relocation. Number two, investors, Crystal. You guys notice you hear and see more 1031 exchanges right around now? People go to their tax planners and their financial planners, Crystal, and they're like, wow, you made a lot of money. You better buy something. You better invest in something. Otherwise, capital gains and this tax and that tax. Oftentimes, they will buy real estate. When do they need to close on this property, Crystal, to get some tax benefits for the 2021 calendar year?
Before the end of the year.
Right. So do you think at this point, they're more concerned about negotiating a great deal with a seller or making sure they get in a contract so this thing closes in about a month?
Right. Just trying to
All day long. They will definitely overpay your seller a little bit just to make sure they close on time. And the third one, because you're not that far away if you don't know, is the military. So right now, a couple times out of the year, they move a lot of their people around. All these people have to move, Crystal. None of them necessarily wants to buy, but either for tax reasons, job reasons, or because they're in the military, they have to buy. So no looky-loos, no tire kickers, Crystal. You get the most amount of the most serious buyers with the least amount of neighbors to compete against. Crystal, do you still want to wait till the spring market to try and sell your house?
No.
No. All right, let me give you a couple more factors. I won't go through all the objection handling, just the factors that you also may want to interject. Crystal, what's happening with interest rates?
They are rising.
What happens to the size of the buyer pool when interest rates go up? Do we have more buyers or less buyers?
Less buyers.
Less buyers. What happens to a buyer's purchasing power when interest rates go up? Does it get bigger? Does it get smaller?
Smaller.
Right. So Crystal, you're telling me you want to wait till next year to wait till we have less buyers that can afford to buy your home. And the ones that could afford your house this year can afford to pay you less next year. And you want to wait for both of those things to happen?
No.
No, not a good idea, right? Crystal, this one's a big one. Put a star next to the word certainty, Rochelle. Crystal, everyone on this team right now could with good certainty tell you about how long it'll take you to sell your home today and about how much you'll get. Can anyone on our team tell Crystal how much she will get for her house if she decides to list it next year and how long it'll take. Nobody can. So remember I told you 69% of your clients are amiable. You know what they like, Crystal, a lot? Certainty versus uncertainty. So if you have an amiable client talking about their outcome is very predictable right now, because do you guys remember we had the world's craziest spring market last year? We had crazy right, Ryan, no bidding wars, prices were insane. Buyers were like, literally, they were almost giving up their firstborn, I think. We're getting pretty close to that last spring, right? Crystal, is it possible the market could do just the opposite this year and we could have the worst spring market we've ever had? Anything possible, who knows? So selling certainty, this is a great market for a seller, right? They're not gonna do poorly at all to put their house on the market now versus waiting until next year. So I can sell that as well. Oh, another one. Crystal, humans, when we see something we may want to buy, do we think you make our decisions emotionally or logically? It's a combination of both. Which one's first?
Emotionally.
We make it emotionally and then we justify with logic.
Yeah.
Crystal, are we in the holiday season?
Yes.
Are you going to decorate your house at all for the holidays?
Yes.
Oh, you think your house might be just a little more emotionally appealing with some beautiful decor? Maybe you're cooking or baking a little bit more than usual. Maybe you have some of those nice scented candles, you know, that are out there.
我想问一下，就是新房的话，现在靠近
Maybe you think, Crystal, that we can hook a buyer emotionally a little better with these. Absolutely. Matter of fact, I'll share with you, Crystal, a team in Toronto, Canada, I coached yesterday, was sharing this with me, that no joke. She said, yeah, Mike, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're talking about this today. I was with a buyer early this week and they pretty much came out and told her they loved the way the house was decorated for the holidays and they had a Christmas tree and it just sucked them in. It was just so warm and fuzzy. It felt good, they said, right, to be in the house. And they wrote an offer and bought the house. They even told them that it was the decor that sucked them in. And as you guys know, all that stuff is leaving very soon, but it works. So your house will never be more emotionally appealing, Crystal, now than when we take this decor down after the holidays. So we may want to consider that. Also, leverage. Crystal, do you like leverage? Would you rather the buyers have leverage over you or you over the buyers?
Me over the buyer.
Right. So this is where I might use storytelling. And if you want to steal my story, have at it. You're telling me you know this guy, your coach, Crystal. About 2.5 years ago, I went to go buy a house in California. I was living in, I think, Long Island at the time. And I sent my wife there as I was busy working on the East Coast, and she found one house essentially that would fit our needs in Cal Heights. So I said, how much is the house? She said, they want $750. So I love to negotiate, Crystal. So you know what I said? Offer them $725. See what happens. She offered him $725, Crystal. You know what the seller said?
Yes.
Nope. They said no. They said $750 or nothing. You know what I said? Okay. Then we did the home inspection, Crystal. This house, no joke, is literally just under 100 years old and still has the original roof on it. And it has 2 more layers of roof over that. It has no roof sheathing. And the inspector said it's all going to start leaking in about a year. So I went to the sellers, Crystal, thinking I had a very good argument for either a credit or a repair. I said, hey, look at all of this. This is horrible. We've got a big problem. I don't care credit or repair, but obviously this is something customary that the seller will take care of, right, Crystal? Right. So you know what kind of credit or repair they offered me?
What?
None. You know what I said? Okay. You want to know why I said okay? At this point, I had a choice to give that seller full price with no credit or repair, but because there was no other viable options, I would have had to rent an apartment for $3,500 for a year, sign a year lease. You think I wanted to spend over $35,000 in rent? Nope. So I bought the house. If there was a second or third or fourth option for me in Cal Heights, Crystal, do you think I would have bought this person's house? Never. just on principle about not wanting to negotiate or give me a credit. I'm a little fickle when it comes to negotiations. I thought they should have given me a little something, but because I had no options, as unhappy as I was with them, it was much better than renting for a year, moving my family twice. So don't underestimate lower inventory levels as great leverage. Just a byproduct of that, right? I bought a house I really wish I didn't pay that much for. And I wish I would have got a credit repair, but in hindsight, it worked out okay. But leverage is because I had no options. I would have bailed on them in a second. I'll give you one more. For a seller, it's very easy to restrict showings, Crystal, and give your seller more flexibilities, right? Oh, it's the holidays, we can't show, we got family or friends over for Thanksgiving, right? And also, because we have leverage, we can negotiate better terms for your client. So what happens if the buyer falls in love with the house? They want it. We go into contract, but you promised the family, the kids, we were going to spend one more Christmas or Hanukkah here, right? Or New Year's in the new house, the old house rather. So you tell the buyer, yes, I'll sell it to you. We agreed on pricing, but I can't move out until after the holidays. I promised my kids. So now you get your seller a great price, terms that they want. And now we're buying a house when the spring market starts, when there's more choices. Not bad at all for you, Crystal, right? So there you go. I'll leave it at that. So you want to have 2 to 4 of these ideas, Crystal, ready to go. So when your seller says, hey, I'm thinking about waiting, you say that's an option, but you go through the 4 steps I gave you today and you give them some food for thought. You don't ram it down their throat like you better do this. Like, hey, I'm not sure what's best for you, Crystal, because the less you want, they feel like the less you're concerned about this listing, the more they want to give it to you. The more that you are commission breath agent and you are like drooling for this thing and you're like begging them and you're trying to oversell, they will sense that quickly and you will not get the listing. Now, let me give you one more huge Lisa pro tip. I'm speaking with Crystal here, giving all these great reasons why I think she should get the house on the market now. She says, you know what, Mike, I hear what you're saying, but it's still best for me and my family. We're going to wait till next year. What do I do with this, Crystal?
I don't know.
I will tell you. You respect their opinion and say, great, Crystal, I'm going to be in real estate for at least another 10 or 15 years, whether you list with next year, next month, 2 years from now, I'm going to be here to help you. So no concern there. But while we're here, what I'd like to do is just get a little bit of some of this paperwork out of the way. So when we're ready to get the house to market, we'll be just at least a couple steps ahead of the game. Okay. You have to do this, guys. Why? Because Crystal, you know what you're going to be doing for the next month and a half? You're going to go to a lot of holiday parties. You're going to go to this, that, at work, friends, family, neighbors, your church, whatever you belong to, right? And because you know what you're about to do, guess the first thing you talk about at all these parties? What do you talk about? About your new move coming up. You're going to be selling your house. Do you think, Crystal, there are any other realtors at any of these holiday gatherings?
Of course.
Always. If not, someone at the party knows someone who's better, cheaper, faster, or whatever. And guess what? This listing that you guys think you have all lined up, ready to go in January, February, or whatever, is going to be gone because someone's going to bump into somebody. So I always, Crystal, if you want to pause, I work really hard to get you to sign a couple of the sheets of paper. Now, what I've learned, it doesn't really matter what you sign because you're not going to remember. But when you go to the party, someone, hopefully a reputable realtor, is going to say, Crystal, have you signed anything yet with anyone? And you're going to say, oh yeah, I signed something with Mike, the realtor. I forget what, and they'll back off. But I know me. If I go to that party and Crystal says she has not signed anything with anyone, fair game. Hey, Crystal, after the party, how about I stop by? Let me take a quick look. Maybe I'll give you some ideas on how to stage it better. And I'm going to try to work my angle and get this listing from you. And so will the aggressive agents in your marketplace as well. So if they're going to pause, I always try to get them to sign at least something, or you can actually even sign the listing contract and just wait on the actual date and the actual list price. I've done that many times as well, but heed that warning. Otherwise you will lose. Also, Crystal, one more tip. Do you know when someone tells you when they're going to bring their house to the market, if it's not now, when they actually do? Do you know that statistic?
No.
No. Anyone on the call know this? Ew, you guys should know this one, the other guys. Someone knows it, I'm sure. You're just being shy. Wow. All right, I'll give it to you. Crystal, whenever a seller says, I'm going to put my house on the market in whatever, 1 year, 6 months, it's always 25 to 50% sooner. So if they said 1 year, Crystal, that really means somewhere between 6 or 9 months. When do you aggressively start re-engaging? In about 5 months from now. If you wait till say 10 or 11 months to go pick up that listing, guess what? It's probably in contract, maybe already closed already. You're going to be late to the party. It's a very common, I learned this when I first started nearly 2 decades ago, Crystal, and it holds true. Sellers, for whatever reason, I don't know if they try to tell you, the putting it on a later date just to push them off, Rochelle, right? Or they just get the bug and it's like, all right, we're thinking about it. Let's just do it. So keep that in mind. If they don't list now, whatever date they tell you, cut that right in half and start calling before that. They tell you 3 months. That really means in 1 month, you better start calling because they're almost at that halfway point at a month and a half. All right.
Well, how I look at that, Mike, is very similar to how I purchase anything. So it's not just houses. It's like, if I don't want you bothering me, I'm going to push it off further. And because I want to do what I'm doing and I don't want you bothering me.
Right. Buying some time almost, right? A little buffer.
Right. Buy some time. And then maybe I'll have it handled before you even call me the next time. And then I can push you off some more and say, oh, sorry, I already bought.
Right. Because what Rochelle is sharing with us is 67% of the consumers think we are slimy used car salesmen. Like, no joke. I read the stat last week. So yeah, so they might just try to brush you off, Crystal, blow you off, right? Really good.
Or you just want to do it yourself,
Right.
But you don't realize you need the help. And until they call you, and when it's the right time, what do? I end up saying, yes, go ahead, clean my carpets,
Exactly right. All right. Any other questions? All right. Now you have it. So we gave 4 ways to handle the objections. We talked about buyers last week, gave you a half a dozen or so seller ones to handle. So now you have them all. Now you just have to practice them. Please practice, because you will not remember this. I've just learned from doing this long enough, Crystal. But if you do memorize it, like you can see, I have no notes here, right? Just kind of ad-libbing with you. It's very effective. And you can get out of just about any jam, get a signature, get a piece of business for yourselves. Cool. All right. With that, I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. As you guys, a lot of these faces I see here week in and week out. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you,
Happy
Mike.
Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you, everybody. All right. We'll be in touch after the holiday and we'll continue helping you guys make more money.
Yay.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Bye.